Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel, Become the Disruptor. My name is Magda. I'm a qualified trauma-informed therapist. And today we're going to be talking about overthinking and different stages actually in overthinking and why overthinking, intellectualizing is currently what I'm noticing in my private practice. One of the biggest, I would say, obstacles between you and actual change. So the version of you that you are now and the version of you that has the life that you truly deserve and you truly want. So a lot of you guys, you have so much self-awareness. Self-awareness, I think that is almost like no longer a flex, because most of the people who are, remotely interested in like therapy and psychology, they can explain their patterns, their trauma, their nervous system, yet life is not changing. So this is it. It's like you have all this knowledge, yet the change hasn't arrived yet. So what is actually happening? Because overthinking is not actually one thing. It's almost like a ladder, and I want to show you that ladder, and I want to show you how to step outside of that ladder and what to actually do to heal and grow and build the life that you truly deserve and want. Because if you are an intellectualizer, then you're going to be thinking, okay, if I am so intelligent, why the heck I still don't have the life that I truly want? Because what's the point of having all this intelligence and all this knowledge if you cannot build what you truly want? This is the video for you, okay? So let's look at the ladder first, and then I'm gonna give you a solution to that. And a solution is, something that I repeat a lot of the times in my videos. So it is basically, about taking different actions, but it is something that I want to maybe explain slightly more deeper, but that is the gist of it, okay? So let's move on to that overthinking ladder. Because the overthinking ladder, what it does, it almost like takes you further and further away from your body and further away from your actual bodily experience, from your actual emotions. So the first thing, you start almost like, the first stage is like you simply start observing yourself. You will say, okay, I notice I feel anxious. You're basically aware, but because you're naming that feeling, you're not feeling it, because it is, let's say an anxiety. For some of you, it's a baseline, and it's almost like you adjusted to that feeling, but it's not a pleasant feeling. Anxious feeling is not a pleasant feeling at all. So, so you name it, and then you slightly step outside of that feeling. So you're not feeling it viscerally because you're observing it. So your body, it's almost like you're leaving your body to its own. And that could be with any other feeling. That could be fear, that could be panic. Whenever you're like naming but not feeling and just being there for yourself, you're moving away. So that's stage number one. And then in stage number two, you start being, even more intellectual about it. So you think, okay, I'm feeling anxious because this and this happened in my childhood, because this is my attachment style. So you start applying theories, slowly start applying some theories about it. So you understand the feeling and why you get that feeling, but you're not feeling it. It's almost like you're disconnecting from that feeling. So that's stage number two. Stage number three, you start researching more. So you start researching, you're reading books, you're watching content, therapeutic content, you're watching videos, you're watching movies, whatever, the documentaries. Basically, you're collecting knowledge. So you're starting collecting knowledge, and again, you're moving further away from your own experience, from the experience that your body has in this life. You're not feeling yourself. You're thinking about yourself. You're thinking about yourself as almost like you're a project, a problem to solve. So that's stage three. Stage four, you start building systems. You start mapping yourself. You start mapping your patterns. You create frameworks for yourself. You starting to understand yourself on a really, deeper level, but you're disconnected. So you do understand yourself from the mind perspective, but you're not connected to your body at all, because you're not feeling your feelings. You're thinking about your feelings, but you're not feeling them. You're scared to feel them. Therefore, you create these frameworks, you create all that. So that is stage four. And this is actually, where a lot of therapists are. There's a lot of therapists who are actually somewhere in a stage of 4 and 6, when they know the frameworks, they know how to, let's say, talk about the work, talk about the models, but their life is not changing either. So, and I'm not saying that to call anyone out, because I've been there myself in all these stages. So I'm not here to say this is because even though, this is the thing, even though the therapists can be stuck in these stages, they are still very effective. Some of them still very effective with their clients. So just because they are stuck does not mean that they are ineffective. It's just they are unable to put some changes into their life. Because actually they're dealing with a lot of people. They feel, responsible for a lot of people. So this is, where a lot of, I would say, therapists, psychologists, creatives are almost stuck in, because these are very intelligent and creative people, but unable to deliver that proper change for themselves. So this is not, guys, for you to feel shame or guilt about it. 100% not. And like I said, I've been there. So I'm definitely not, talking about these stages from a perspective of a stranger who never experienced them. No, I've been through all of these. That's why, when I speak about them, they really mean a lot to pass that knowledge on to you, so you can step outside of these loops, so you don't have to struggle for longer than necessary. Okay, so that's stage number 4, which is, you're building frameworks, you're building that understanding, bigger understanding about yourself. Then in stage 5, you move on to the even bigger ideas. So you move on to philosophy, patterns, human nature. You almost stop talking about yourself directly. You're almost becoming, a project to solve. And that is stage 4. So you're further away from yourself. You're no longer almost like a human being that lives and breathes and moves and feels. You're a project. You're a project that you got to solve this project. So that's stage number 5. Stage number 6, you start, and this is when, because of all that knowledge, you start analyzing everything, every conversation, every reaction. It's almost like you're becoming your own therapist, but I would say not in a very productive way, because therapy, it's only a one space, once in a while that you can enter, so you can analyze the stuff that really matter for the change. But it's not about self-monitoring 24/7. So you're becoming almost like that therapist for yourself that is constantly monitoring you, and it's did you respond? Did you overreact to that? Have you been triggered? Have you been triggered again? So this type of internal dialogue, because of all that knowledge that you have, you're using that knowledge almost against yourself. So, and this is a very painful stage, because you're starting seeing that I have all this knowledge. What's up? Why am I not moving? Why my life is still stuck? So this stage 6 is a very painful place to be. And I've been there, guys. Yeah, it is very, very painful. And then stage number 7. So you understand everything. You tried to move, sometimes, maybe take some actions, but then you didn't follow through, all that sort of stuff. You understand everything. Everything makes perfect sense. And then nothing changes. And this is when you almost you feel what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why I cannot change? What is up with me? Everyone is happy, all that. So it's almost this is when the stage comes full circle, because then you start almost looking, okay, I gotta analyze more. I gotta find another theory, another model, because obviously everything that I've done, it just doesn't make sense. So the thing is that at this point, you need a very specific type of therapy. And I would say a lot of you guys, you think you can do it alone, but you cannot. Sometimes you actually really need to hire a professional, pay a bit more, and have, let's say, those sessions spread out, so you can integrate those sessions, because those sessions with the therapist, which I will, say how that therapy should be look like, they're going to be intense for you, because you're going to be touching the core of your patterns. So you will need, I would say, at least 2-3 weeks to integrate new plan of action and a new behavioral change for your nervous system to start getting used to the new behaviors and a new decision-making process and all that. So the therapy, definitely not on a weekly basis, because that's just it's almost like, again, you're going into the same loop. You're analyzing, and this is something that you don't want that now. You need now a therapist who's going to be able to help you to interrupt your crucial patterns. The patterns that you don't really want to break, because breaking them will mean that you're going to maybe lose something or someone, whatever that is that you're scared of, you will have to face that fear. So we're talking about the therapy that's going to be able to give you external observation, because the therapist will be able to see your loops, because they're not living inside them, they are the outsider, and help you to find some actions and behavioral changes that will interrupt these patterns. Nothing dramatic, guys. You would be surprised how uncomfortable little actions are for you. Like, for example, having slightly more sleep, cutting off some work, having more quality time with your partner. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do the simple things. You like to do magic, because, magic, quote unquote, because you know so much and you think that you need to have some magical models here. No, guys, you need to come back to real life, and you got to think, this is practical stuff now. You can, do all the interesting stuff, let's say, outside of the growth and healing. In healing, practice and consistent action and patience with yourself to follow through. So creating the action plan, then sticking with the action plan and seeing how life will respond to you. So seeing the feedback from real life, from people, etc. This, of course, will require as well for you to practice nervous system regulation with your therapist in sessions, and then outside of them, because you will have to be able to absorb the consequences of these new behavioral changes and your actions and your decision-making process. So as you can see, and of course your therapist needs to hold you accountable. As you can see, this is a very different type of therapy, and you can do it by yourself, theoretically, but I would say practically, a lot of you guys, you really want to actually, for the first time, just admit it for yourself that everything that you know is wonderful, that you know these things, but currently you need a completely different type of an intervention. And you can start doing some things. You can absolutely focus on one area of your life and then do the sequencing of different actions and different behaviors. You can do that without the therapist. But again, there's a cost to that. And there's a cost to the therapeutic intervention. So you just pick the cost that you are willing to pay the price for. So currently, if you recognize yourself in any of these stages, you need movement, you need action, and more insight. It's just going to keep you more stuck, and it's going to keep you more frustrated, guys, because, and this is, the frustration that is ancient, because you have been there before your whole life. Just those loops, you can name them differently because you use different models, but they're still loops. They're still keeping you stuck. So I trust that was helpful. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to book a session specifically with me, you've got the links down below. I'm going to see you in my next video. Bye-bye.